In July 2022, I went to have this lump removed off my face, and I was all gowned up, ready to go down. The anaesthetist came to me and asked me the million questions, and they said, "Have you any heart issues?" I said, "No." I said, "I've got an enlarged aorta." He said, "Whoa, job stopped." He said, "We can't go ahead if you've got that." Today. So then what happened is that I had to then go from down a series of cardiologists, everybody passing me along the line, until eventually I got to Dr. Noatu at the Liverpool Heart. This done was that I'm also an ocean rower, and I want to row the Atlantic Ocean. Well, I rowed the Atlantic Ocean in 2000 when I was 70, and I got 2 Guinness World Records for that. And because of that, I want to be able to do it again this year. So I wanted to make sure I was going to be fit enough to do that, because they were going to sign me off to do that. And anyway, so Dr. Noatu says, that's not going to happen with where you are. I can't sign you off for that. So we discussed my aorta. My aorta should be 25 millimeters diameter, which is about that, and it was actually 49 millimeters, which is that. So that's actually 3.5 times the bigger, not twice the bigger. It's 3.5 times. And what happens with your aorta is that as it expands, the wall thickness of the aorta gets thinner, which makes it easier to expand even more, and it's more likely to burst. And we discussed having it done, and he says, "Yeah, but," he says, "the problem we've got," he says, "you're only 49 millimeters diameter," and he says 50 is the trigger point. So I said, "Oh, right." So he says, "We need something else." I said, "Well, I want to roll the Atlantic." He says, "No, that's not something else." He says, so he took my blood pressure. He says, "Oh, your blood pressure." He said, "170. He says, "You're urgent." I said, "We need to be doing it like pretty handy." He said, we made arrangements for when he could do it, and I was in pretty quickly with him. I had the operation done within 4 weeks of that appointment, which was brilliant. Judy stayed in the Robert Owen house, which was brilliant, which is perfectly adequate for what we needed. Lovely room, nice, fresh. Everything was clean, plenty, free tea, free toast, free cornflakes. And I'd researched what I was going to do. I looked on the interweb, and I'd looked at what an enlarged aorta looked like, and what was going to happen, and I'd seen when they'd been replaced or when they'd been repaired and what that involved. It's a major operation. It's as far as the heart operations go, it's on the major scale, major side of things. I was in hospital for 9 days, and the care and the treatment I got could not have been better. You're on heart monitors all the time, so you went bleep, 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 bleep. But also I was on another machine which connected directly to the nurse's station, a telemetry machine, and that was letting the nurses know all the time. And at one time, I accidentally pulled one of the wires off, and the nurse came running through the door. She says, "Are you all right?" Yeah. Oh, she then realised the fault was me that had pulled the wire off. I didn't know that. So she reconnected me, and everything was okay. So the nurse came up and says, "Here's your medication. Here's your list of tablets to take. There I am. You can go home when you're ready." Whoa, fantastic. So I didn't want to go home in an ambulance. I wanted to go home in my own car. But when we were driving home, I had a little bit of a memory lapse, and I couldn't work out why I was going down the M62 sat in the passenger seat with a cushion or a pillow between my seatbelt and my chest, and I couldn't tie up then why I was there. And I can remember asking Judith, why am I not driving? Have I been involved in a car accident? Have I had an injury? And then that lasted 5 or 10 minutes, and until we got home, and then it was no problem. There's a 1 mile circuit from our house, which involves walking downhill and then up, obviously around the circuit and back uphill. And the gradients is probably about 100 meters. So that's about 400 steps. So I can do the circuit now in 19 minutes, and I can do it with purpose, and I don't have to stop, and I'm not in too much pain when I'm doing it, and I just feel my lungs stretching. But that's what I want to exercise, and every time I do it, I can feel an improvement. Because this year I'm going to Royal Atlantic again, and I'm going to go on the 12th of December.
Yes.
The treatment you get and the care you get at Liverpool Heart and Chest Hospital is second to none. I can't imagine it being any different. You know.